Hello, this is Jay Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of the Libertarian Uncensored podcast, going over all the posts on the Libertarian Censored subreddit. Let's get right into it. So first we have German ambassador warns of Trump plan to redefine constitutional order. Document shows from Orders.com. And that was posted by Ninja Lover, and they added the briefing document dated January 14th and signed by Ambassador Andreas Michaelis describes Donald Trump's agenda for his second White House term as one of the maximum disruption that will bring about a redefinition of the constitutional order, maximum concentration of power for the president at the expense of Congress and the federal states. And yeah, Donald Trump did just get inaugurated yesterday, so there's going to be a lot of orange man bad on the subreddit. Personally, I think that, he's more par for the course than some unique evil, but, I don't think a lot of people who are criticizing him really care that much about government authoritarianism. They justify pretty much all the government authoritarianism when their team had it when Joe Biden was president. So, a lot of people are much more partisan than principled, I think. Is Donald Trump a libertarian? I wouldn't say he's a libertarian personally. He might occasionally endorse libertarian policy like freeing Ross Ulbricht or privatizing the United States Postal Service. But, all U.S. presidents probably have, I can point to pretty much a libertarian action that pretty much every U.S. president did. That doesn't necessarily make them libertarians. With that being said, Trump, I think we need to hold him accountable when he's overly authoritarian. But with that being said, it is important to realize that he might occasionally endorse libertarian policies as well, as I just said. So that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Idaho is demanding the Supreme Court to reverse same-sex marriage because it infringes on their religious liberties. Posted by CH4Locks, and that's cross-post from the March Against Nazis subreddit. And yeah, I don't know if that's going to go anywhere. It's probably just some clerk who's just kind of has nothing else to do with his time. But yeah, I think same-sex marriage probably isn't going. I personally think the state shouldn't be very involved in marriage at all. But I do think marriage should be up to individual definition rather than the state definition, and it should be purely a religious affair rather than a state affair. And that's my thoughts on that issue. I personally would, I don't know if I'd ever get in a same-sex marriage, but with that being said, I definitely do think people should be able to do it if they want to. And yeah, but I know on Reddit, they'd probably outlaw straight marriage because they're that much of a progressive circle jerk. A lot of it is. It's all just kind of DNC propaganda gobbledygook. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Angela McArdle gives notice for special LNC meeting on January 26th to consider disciplinary action against Secretary Corinne Harlos from Doctor Who 07, and that's crosswords from Libertarian Party USA subreddit. And yeah, I personally don't really care for this. I think, the time has passed for her to do this. I think, people die on the stupidest hills. I personally don't really, care for going after her. It's only because, she went against the state party of Colorado, I think, and putting Chase Oliver on the ballot over RFK Jr. But yeah, if they want to keep going after her, I think they should be able to. But with that being said, people die on the stupidest hill these days, and I think you should just probably let it go and move on to something else. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have You've Gotta Be Fucking Kidding Me from Snoo Marzipans 436, and that's a post from the TikTok after it came back from the ban. They said, thanks for your patience and support. As a result of President Trump's efforts, TikTok is back in the US. You can continue to create, share, and discover all the things you love on TikTok. And yeah, I don't think TikTok was forced to go down. I think it went down voluntarily, and because that was the supposed ban date, but I don't think the government had any way to enforce the ban. So yeah, if they wanted to do that and then justify coming back to say and thank President Trump, even though he wasn't in office yet, for doing so, I think they should be able to. But with that, it's a lot how Pornhub, they say, Pornhub's banned, even though Pornhub takes itself down voluntarily, since the state really doesn't have any enforcement mechanisms against it. That's in a lot of the sovereign states they did that. But yeah, I personally don't really care for TikTok, but I definitely do think a ban against it was very stupid. And and the Democrats allowed Trump to get a win here. A lot of Redditors will say, Trump proposed the ban in the first place. Well, I would argue that, people, to Reddit, I guess it's illegal for people to change their mind. And, if Reddit, they'll spin anything against Trump that Trump does is bad. He could cure cancer, and suddenly that would be a bad thing because Reddit would probably say, oh, now we're going to have overpopulation or something. I don't know, something stupid like that. So, yeah, I think TikTok did some, ByteDance did some masterful political maneuvering by taking itself down and then putting itself back up. And, yeah, that's my thoughts on that issue. I personally don't, know how much Trump had to do with it, but if they want to thank Trump, I definitely think they should be able to do so. Hopefully, I wouldn't be surprised if he flip flopped again though, especially if Israel comes knocking at the door because Israel was really the big reason it got banned in the first place because they didn't like how it was full of people questioning the official Israeli government narrative and supporting Palestine instead. So we'll see if Israel comes. Trump, he's in Israel's pocket. I don't know if he can stand up to them if they come knocking again, saying, "Oh, you got to ban TikTok." But I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens. Then we have 2 days till Trump frees Ross from Stunning Performance 1, and that's a cross post from the Golden Black subreddit, posted by, I think, the Libertarian Party chair, Angela McCardle. Trump's team reached out to me a couple days ago confirming that they were freeing him. Promises made, promises kept. I'm going to try for Roger Ver and Ian Freeman too. Is there anyone else I should add to my last minute ask? And yeah, I personally think he is supposed to free Ross today, and as I said earlier, he'll occasionally do endorse libertarian policies like freeing Ross Ulbricht or privatizing USPS or getting the U.S. out of the World Health Organization, but that doesn't necessarily make him a libertarian. I personally do think he's kind of overhated from a lot of a libertarian perspective, but that being said, he just only does whatever he thinks his base will like, and yeah, he only really cares about more himself than having any actual libertarian ideals, I would say, and that's, I would say, the biggest problem with him is, he's just only up his own ass and really only likes to rile people up and say stupid stuff to get people riled up and then jerk himself off. That's pretty much all he does. But with that being said, as I said earlier, it doesn't mean he can't do good things. I'm just saying that the big problem with him is that, it's not coming from a place of being a libertarian, rather it's coming from a place of trying to maximize his own power and worship of him. Then we have Donald Trump wants to nationalize TikTok, and in parentheses, billionaire handouts from New King coming in hot. From CH Relax, and that's crosspost from the Parlor Watch subreddit, and it's a Donald Trump post from True Social. I'm asking companies not to let TikTok stay dark. I will issue an executive order on Monday to extend the period of time for where the law's prohibition take effect, so that we can make a deal to protect our national security. The order also confirmed there will be no liability to any company that keep TikTok from going dark for my order. Americans deserve to see our exciting inauguration Monday, as well as other events and conversations. I would like the United States to have a 50% ownership position in a joint venture. By doing this, we save TikTok, keep it in good hands, and allow it to stay up. Without US rule, there is no TikTok. For our approval, it is worth hundreds of billions of dollars, maybe trillions. Therefore, my initial thought is a joint venture between the current owners and or new owners, whereby the US gets 50% ownership, and it is a joint venture set between the US and whatever purpose we so choose. And I personally don't really care for that. I personally think, we need to let TikTok stay private, even if ByteDance does have close ties to the Chinese government. But yeah, I definitely don't think government-owned anything is the way to go, and that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have hypothetical. If a mod on another sub blocks you, but then comments on your post, not as a mod, won't that be a mod using their power? Should it be reported to admins? Posted by Swamp Yankee Dan, and they said, I'm just looking for people's hypothetical opinions. Blocking me but replying to my post sounds like one-way censorship, and that's not very libertarian. I asked mods through ModMail how I hear for their opinion, but they refused to respond. And they had in all caps, sorry I can't respond. I was banned for 28 days for breaking a supposed rule, tagging someone that said not to. That's not even the actual rules. Ninja abused his mod powers and called him out. He got banned for 28 days, but nothing happened to him. Ninja abused mod powers, nothing happens to him. He got me blocked, he commented on my post, I'm the one to get in trouble, and the head mod he abused his powers still refuses to delete his comment. And yeah, that just goes to show you a lot of Reddit mods and admins are very pedantic losers who are up their own asses. And definitely from what I've seen, the bigger the subreddit, the bigger the pedantic losers they are. But, Libertarian Uncensored is a relatively small subreddit, only around 4,000, yet you still have Ninja Lover being a pedantic loser here. So it just goes to show you how, that people say, oh, I'm libertarian, I'm for free speech, but then they block people and then ban them for saying the wrong thing, and I don't think that's very libertarian, As I said earlier, I think, if they want to be like Lester Maddox, refuse to serve people for having the wrong skin color or saying the wrong thing. They should be able to. I think that's freedom of association. But yeah, I don't think banning and blocking people is that libertarian. And I personally think, if Larry Libertarian does that, they should be able to. But we need to call them out for it and say, oh, that's not libertarian. That goes against free speech. You're just a statist in sheep's clothing. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Biden preemptively pardons Anthony Fauci, Mark Miley, and January 6th committee members from Perhizzle from abcnews.go.com. And yeah, I personally don't think that's good. I think the presidential pardon power is too much. But that being said, if he wanted to justify doing that, he should be able to do so. And yeah, I personally think we need to hold all those guys accountable, especially Dr. Fauci, for funding gain-of-function research that led to the creation of COVID, and then downplaying him doing so and lying to Congress in the process. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Trump commutes sentences of Proud Boys and Oath Troopers leaders as he pardons over 1,000 January 6th U.S. Capitol rioters from CNN by Ninja Lover. And yeah, this is another instance of, I think, the president abusing his pardon powers. But that being said, I do think, if they were, a lot of people are saying, oh, this is the worst thing ever, if it was the in-group doing it rather than the out-group, this would be the best thing ever if it was the Democratic Party president pardoning them. And yeah, I guess you do have the argument it was probably a setup as well. So ultimately, if Trump wants to justify pardoning, I think he should be able to. There might be quite a few unscrupulous characters in there, but he ultimately justify whatever you want to. And yeah, that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Trump tries to wipe out birthright citizenship with an executive order, and then in parentheses, the court crime king from whitehouse.gov, and that's cross from the law subreddit. And yeah, I personally, do think the U.S. is a little lax about how easy it is to get citizenship there. So if Trump wants to do that, I think he should be able to. But if that being said, ultimately, I think, if anyone, I think, the problem is we have state or mandate, state definition of citizenship in the first place. I think, each individual should define citizenship rather, how they feel like, rather than have be an official, state, mandated category. And that's my thoughts on that issue. Then we have Trump's executive orders already face pushback, legal challenges from the WashingtonPost.com by Ninja Lover. And yeah, if people do want to push back against them, I do think they should be able to. I do think the executive order is arguably overly too overpowered right now. But with that being said, if the courts do rule in a way you don't like, sometimes you just have to cope with that. And that's my thoughts on that issue. And I think we're going to wrap it up there. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.